A-Train is the lamest name for.
Oh yeah, they never bring it up either.
No, they never bring up the fact.
Well, like Homelander has a sweet name. The Deep has a sweet name.
The
Black
Deep,
Noir.
the Deep
Black Noir
only
is
has a
sweet.
sweet name because it's funny.
But it's also just
The
a cool
Deep's
name.
kind of cool. Yeah.
No, the Deep is a cool name.
The Deep?
Yeah,
The Deep. He's like the Deep dude.
No, it's super lame. I think that was
awesome.
the point.
What are you talking about? The
No.
Deep is awesome.
Okay, we're putting it in the poll right now. Right, go in the
right,
comments.
you comment.
The Deep's stupid. That's the whole
Deep
point of
is
that
a cool-
name.
No, it's an awesome name.
Well,
Everyone's on my side.
No
here.
one's
No,
on
not
your
a single
side. Why
soul
would
is on your
anyone be
side.
on your side?
The Deep sounds stupid.
The Deep sounds awesome.
The Deep?
The Deep.
I think the whole point is that it's like Aquaman is stupid and here's a stupid sexual sounding name.
I think the whole point
The
is
Deep-
that it's an awesome name.
The Deep is way cooler sounding than Aquaman.
Okay, they're both stupid.
Deep.
The Flash is way cooler than A-Train. though. A-Train
Yes,
is the
yes.
worst. name.
A-Train is worse than the Deep.
Well,
I
even
don't.
the guy he races against has a cooler name than A-Train.
A-Train clearly was his name that he came up with when he was 5. And he realized he was best. He's like, I'll be A-Train. Like, is the name Arthur or something? And like, it's like A-Train.
Oh, the A-Train like in New York, dude.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You take the A-Train.
the A-Train.
So he's
And
named.
trains are the fastest motor.
Yeah, I was gonna say he named himself after something slow and old.
And something that's been out of commission for years.
Oh,
'cause
it's
they're-
so
they're
symbolic, dude.
worthless.
It was all on purpose. So we all saw the boys.
So this week we saw the boys.
It wasn't this week. You and I watched it like 2 weeks ago.
I watched it this week.
This week Sam Slade saw the boys.
So Alec, what did you think going into the boys?
I honestly didn't want to watch it at all, and then
Same here.
it was so I don't know if it's obvious to anyone, but I like the YouTube channel Red Letter Media.
Is that like a Let's Play channel or something?
I typically, if I don't care about something, I'll watch a video that they do a review of a movie. If I haven't seen it, it's like, oh, they did a review of The Boys. I don't care about The Boys. I'm gonna watch it anyway. And within 2 minutes of the review, I was like, I'm turning this off because this sounds awesome. I want to watch it. And so I started watching it immediately. Like, I was like, I'm not doing anything today. I have today off. I'm just gonna watch The Boys. And I watched most of the first season that day.
Almost exactly like Alec. I did not want to see it because when I kept seeing all the ads for it, like there was so much marketing for it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is just a dumb little
They
like,
marketed it terribly.
They marketed it like, oh, like this is a deconstruction of those Hollywood superhero movies that you keep watching. Now we're edgy and like we're like killing superheroes.
So
This is like The Watchmen, but guess what? It's better.
This has got edge.
Yeah,
and so
it
like the
was
whole
like-
thing, I was like, this is like, even if people like this, I don't think I'll like it because I'm not into the premise. You know?
It looked lame. Like the one effect that they kept showing in the trailer was the girl turning into goo.
Yeah,
and it's like that.
and I was like, oh, this is like,
And the
it's
baby.
dark and edgy. Then it came out and people were saying they liked it, and I was like, same thing. I just was like, I wouldn't like that concept. I'm not gonna watch it. And then the Red Letter Media video came out, and then 3 minutes in, I turned it off. And I started watching
So Brian, what did you think?
Well, it's
going in?
specifically because they said they were talking about how the politics of the
Yes.
superheroes. And I was like, oh, that sounds.
Well, the
interesting.
minute they were like, it's like RoboCop, I was like, fuck this. Then I love RoboCop.
So I haven't seen the Red Letter Media video.
Who are these media?
I don't
people?
watch Minecraft videos. I'm sexually attracted to women. So I'd only heard a few things. I saw a couple articles. Everyone was saying it was great, and I was like, well, I never even saw a trailer for it. I only saw like the posters, and I was like, whatever. It just looks like a superhero show. But then I heard a bunch of people say good things, and I was like, I'll watch an episode, sure. And then Alec said he was watching it, and it was really good. And then I watched the first episode, and I was like, that was pretty interesting. And I like kept it on the back burner for a little bit. But then the second you get past like episode 2,
It definitely
sucked me right up.
it comes into its own. Like the first episode, you're like, all right, where is this going? And then there's some interesting stuff. Butcher comes up, and you're like, oh, Butcher's great. Like, he's a fun thing. And then the first episode ends, you're like, that was fun. And I don't think it really hits its stride until the second episode.
Yeah, because the first episode, it kind of introduces the concept, but it doesn't really show you how, like you said, it doesn't really show how deep they're going to go
Yes.
into each character. Like the first episode, it feels like they're setting up just a wacky comedy.
Yes.
Like that's it. Like you have these two characters.
I'm going to say full spoilers ahead. Like if you're watching this video, it's
yeah.
because you've seen the show.
And then, like, yeah, by the end of the first episode, you're like, oh, it's like a buddy cop thing.
Yes.
And they're going after superheroes. But by the end of episode 2, like, they're showing moral dilemmas.
Well,
Like, the second they introduce the moral dilemma of what to do with this character in the cage.
Do they explode that guy in the second episode or third episode?
Blown from the second episode. I think
Do
it's the
they?
second episode.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. That's when you're hooked in.
Because in the first one, there's no moral dilemma.
Well,
it's very
but-
black and white.
Yeah.
But then in
While
that
they're
second
trying to
episode-
figure out how to kill that, I was hooked. Like just the deliberation of like, how do we kill?
How
the
do you kill the
superhero?
we have him in a
like
cage.
practically, this guy is invincible. They're like, I'm gonna make this sniper rifle and I'm gonna coat it in the same particles that coat his body, and that'll definitely get through him. And they try it, and it almost kills all of them. Like all of that, I was like, all right, this is fucking awesome. Like I always complain in every single stupid superhero movie that they don't think things through. Like the Wonder Woman review, they don't think through like, well, how would the soldiers fight? Well, they didn't care because they were just like, they're soldiers fighting. I love it when movies take the time to think through like, all right, this is how you would kill this thing that's invincible.
Also, the second episode introduced like the first episode introduces the dynamic of how Huey is involved with these really badass people. First, you think it's just gonna be him and Butcher, and then the second one they introduce Frenchie.
Well,
And they
see,
kinda
I
show-
kept assuming they were going to introduce more people because I was like, it's like a superhero.
It's called
team,
The
right?
Boys.
It's called
And
The
so,
Boys.
like, I was like, oh, he's the only one who thinks at all. In the second one, it's like Frenchie's a smart guy, but he is not a logical person.
No.
Huey's the only logical thinking one out of all of them, where he was like, how do we practically do this?
Yes.
I understand that you want to murder them all, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And so
Yeah.
that dynamic is really
Well,
interesting.
because you ask yourself like, what practical skills does Huey bring to these people? Like he's a pussy.
That was the thing I was most surprised about because I kept sitting there being like, I don't think Huey's going to bring anything to the table. He's just like this guy who's going to be like the audience's view. But he does a lot. Like he pulls his weight in the show.
And
You know what I mean?
they realize that his best quality is the fact that he's so unassuming that they can throw him anywhere and no one really.
And that he's not psychologically so far gone that he's not thinking
Yes.
straight.
And
you know?
that's one of the most interesting parts about the dynamic. We were talking about Justice League earlier before the cameras were on. And one of the worst things about Justice League is Batman, surrounded by these supernatural characters, has nothing to do. He doesn't do a single thing with the whole movie. The fact that all of these characters in this group, none of them until later on have superpowers. So Huey has a practical purpose. Like having a logical person surrounded by everyone who just doesn't have superpowers fighting superpower people.
And also that being
important.
the point of it, like they can't just go and fight Homelander. They can't just be like, we're gonna take the fight to him, and then they drive the Batmobile over there.
And
they
say,
have
"You
to
come and get me, you dumbass bug."
We'll spend the entire season just trying to think of a plan to take them on.
They spend
have
most
no
of the
idea.
season saying, "We can't kill Homelander. How do we kill the rest of them?"
Yes.
Oh yeah, spoiler.
Well, that's-
Homelander's a bad guy.
You stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit! I'll laser every fucking one of you!
Yeah, that's what I thought was weird going, like, when I was watching it, and I was like, okay, is every episode going to be them trying to kill a person, like, kill a superhero?
That's what I thought.
And, like, but I also was saying, they're just like, how are these homeless people going to do that? Like, how are they going to kill... They're homeless. They just wander, like, he would quit his job and then left his home. And then they went and hung out in a cave for the rest of the season. So how are these homeless people going to kill Superman?
And at
What's
the
gonna
end,
happen?
the best part of the season is that they don't have a plan. Like, at the end of the day, Butcher's entire plan is, I'm going to commit suicide right in front of Homelander. That's it. That's all I'm going to... And hopefully he'll be sad because there was someone he cares about in the same room as me. So anyway, Sam Slade, did you like The Boys?
I did. I think it's very entertaining. I do have problems with it, though.
I also have problems.
I've got a good amount of problems with it. Well, first of all, we can all just right off the bat, it looks terrible.
Yes.
It's hideous. That was the first thing I noticed when I started watching it.
It is
It's
disgusting
The
looking.
color grading especially is just atrocious. I don't know, like that kind of that
Also,
style
not
of
even just
heavy
that it looks
grading-
terrible. It doesn't look consistently terrible. Like
No.
there's so many different parts where they go to the same the same location and the color grading is completely different. And I'm like, why does it look like this
the
now?
color grading is all over the place.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is at its best when it looks naturalistic. There are some scenes where you're like, oh,
Like
they
the
didn't.
whole
when they're
that
outside.
Catholic
Yeah.
festival, it doesn't look like mud the whole
No,
time.
it looks fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some scenes where it looks like mud.
Or there's some scenes where they're in a subway and it looks like they didn't white balance it properly.
Yes.
It looks terrible.
It looks awful. I don't know why you would make a decision like that.
Honestly,
It was a
though,
bad
but
one.
like that's like whatever minor thing.
It doesn't really change the show a lot.
Some of the visual effects are really bad. looking.
Yes.
Like that's
Oh,
another thing with
that
some of the visual
show
effects.
is very low budget. Like there was several points where you could clearly see, or like at least to
can
us,
see
where
the
it's like,
budget.
That's
where
where
you're
it's-
just like, oh, they couldn't show Homelander land ever, except because it just take too much out of the budget. So like maybe once or twice you see him land or take off.
Yeah.
Every other time you just hear a noise and he's there.
That's
you
the
know?
most interesting part, is that it's a very high budget premise with little to no money put on it.
Yes.
And now, obviously, it's going to get more money.
Yeah, 'cause
well,
it's-
not, AMC does the opposite.
Yeah.
Their show is really successful, and then they cut their budget in half, and then they keep
This is
doing that.
Amazon, dude. You're an
You know,
Amazon.
it's the Wild West with Amazon, though. I don't know what they're gonna do with
Yeah,
season
I
two.
don't
They
know
might
what they're
take
gonna
even more money away. They
Yeah.
might be like, you guys are fine without it.
Um,
My other problem, and this kind of trickles through the whole series, is that it's super convenient. Like, there's so much
Yeah,
convenience
there's a
in
lot
that
of
plot.
convenience in it.
Especially in the last episode. The last episode, it was just like, I was sitting there the whole season, I was like, you know what, there's a lot of things that are pretty convenient where you're just like, whatever, I'll suspend my disbelief
He
on
just
this
happened
one.
to sit on a park bench in
That's
the
when it
most
started.
populated city in the country. He
Yes.
just happened
And then he
to sit
happens
next
to
this
sit next
person.
to this person, and they both exchange this dialogue that's meaningful. And like, it's just, and also, not even just that he happens to sit on that park bench. It's such a small park bench. Why the heck would he sit there? Like,
Yeah.
why? They're sitting this
this-
close to each other,
and
and they
this-
don't know each other at all.
And she's clearly upset, and he had clearly chose to sit next to her. to
And the
eat a
camera like
sandwich.
pans out, and he's just right there. I'm like, is that a joke? Like, what? Does he know her already? But it's like, no, they've never met. There's a lot of things like that, and in the last episode particularly, like, there was so much where I was like, this script, they are making it so convenient for these characters because so Frenchie and what's his face get locked up.
Mother's Milk.
Mother's
An
Milk.
impossible name to forget.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how you lost Mother's Milk, dude.
Because I didn't know that was his name. It's just
They do only say the full name like twice.
so they get captured by that major corporation. Like, they get captured by whatever, like the government or the Seven or whatever. They're captured, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Where are they being held? And they're held in an abandoned warehouse. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
One guard is guarding them too. It's like one guard in this random warehouse where they break out of this little fence that they're in.
These guys who killed one of the most famous people on the planet.
Yes, and they're just in a cave. And so I'm like, that's convenient. They break out, and I'm like, okay, cool. How are they gonna? Oh, there's one guard. Okay, that's fine.
Like, killing Translucent would be the equivalent of killing, like, the president.
Yeah.
Like, he is one of the most important
Well, it would
people
be
to
like
ever
killing
exist.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, or like Tom Cruise. Like, we have to make sure. But Tom Cruise, if Tom Cruise was a member of government and had immense power,
Yeah.
like, they would just vanish.
He's
They would-
one of the seven. Like, he's.
Yeah,
They would have completely gotten rid of them. There would be no way they would have.
Well, no, they would have dragged them through the mud, dude. They would have. I think
But they would have defended them more. They wouldn't just put 5 guards there. Huey
Yeah.
kills more people than the guards do.
Yes. Yeah. So that's happening, and then they go to get the girl with the superpowers who's like locked up, and that's solved by he just runs off screen and then gets her, and you're like, okay, I guess
get
that's
in
I
that
guess
room.
I guess.
yeah. And so he got her, and then they start running away, and then what's her face shows up, and it's like, that's fine, whatever. I can take that convenience because it's like she had a change of heart and whatever. But then A-Train shows up, and I'm like, that one guy was the one that showed up. Like, they had the camera bit, so it's like, okay, they're gonna send somebody. Somebody's gonna come for them, either guards or a superhero.
Yeah.
But it is A-Train.
Yeah.
It's A-Train.
Well,
And
and-
A-Train just so happened to have a heart attack
Yes.
in that exact moment.
Yes.
Yeah, A-Train showing up there, that was one of the ones where I was like, why is it A-Train? Like, why?
Yeah, no, I was like, why wouldn't it be Dark Knight guy?
Black-
What was
Black
it? Black
Noir?
Noir? Yeah, why wouldn't it be him?
That would have been a great point for Black Noir
Noir.
to show up because I just love Black Noir. He's great.
It's also with A-Train having that heart attack and Huey being like, oh, we have to make sure he lives. Like, Huey is past that point in his character arc.
yeah.
Like, Huey is past the point of trying to spare these people.
Yes.
And
Also,
so it felt like it felt like a huge backpedal, and there's no. The show ends on a cliffhanger, but there's no closing action
No.
for Huey's thing. He literally is like, "We shouldn't kill A-Train." He leaves, and then that's the last
that,
episode.
so the ending has been a little controversial from what I've seen, and I think that's the biggest reason is that even like a lot of TV shows have cliffhangers. Like Game of Thrones, almost every season ends on some sort of cliffhanger, but within each season there is some sort of emotional arc.
wait, that's what people are pissed off about is the cliffhanger, right? And like we were talking about this earlier,
Yes.
where it's like people are just not used to it.
It's
anymore.
a cliffhanger, but with no arc satisfaction. Not a single character gets any type of conclusion to their arc.
Yes, they're still on the run. You have no idea.
Yes.
Because it feels like
But there used to be a lot of shows like that, and it was fine. But now that we are in an age where like there's a ton more miniseries, Netflix has a bunch of shows where every single season wraps up in that season, you know, and even if there are cliffhangers in shows, you're binge watching them most of the time and you don't even notice it. Like when everybody who watched Breaking Bad, not everybody, but a lot of people who watch Breaking Bad watched it on Netflix. They watched it 4 seasons in a row and didn't see any of the cliffhangers.
But with Breaking Bad, like, even though a lot of the seasons end with a cliffhanger, you know where every character is and where they're at.
Yes.
And, like, you are aware of what's happening with that character. Here, it's like they walk out of this warehouse and you don't know what happened.
And you're like, where did they go after that? Where is that warehouse?
But yeah,
Is it on
my
an
other
island?
problem I have, I don't have as big of a problem with this because, like, I don't know what they're going to... Again, like, there's so much more of the show that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But with the whole Huey thing, I feel like they completely changed their minds on how they wanted his arc to go.
Yeah, that was my bit. Like I said, him sparing A-Train's a complete...
It makes no sense.
It's complete...
Well, because I think what they're trying to be like is like I don't know. I really don't know because they first start out where he's like, I'm starting to like this, and you're like, oh, this is his arc.
Yes.
You know, this is where it's going because
he's a member of the boys now.
Because he has that moment with what's his
seemed-
face with Mother's Milk, and he's like, oh, it was pretty sweet actually. I kind of liked blowing that guy up.
So it seemed to me that he's trying to have his cake, like the way I read it was that he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Like he's trying to be part of the boys, but he wants to be more of a positive force. Like he's like, I want to tear this down, but I don't want to hurt people doing it. Which
that's not what they've been setting up.
But that's the thing is, what I think what they're trying to do is that they had it be that he was like, oh, I'm getting caught up in this revenge plot. I like it. It's great. And then he just sees what kind of people these people could become, and that's what turns him off from it. But that's not hit home enough. Like that doesn't come in till way late in the season, you know. And so when it gets to that point, and then he's just completely snapped. And he's like, this person who I've been trying to kill this whole time, I have to save him. I'm hero man now, you know.
I think one of the issues I have is one thing you mentioned when I started watching it is you were like, most of the characters are pretty despicable, but they try to humanize some of them. And I think some of it kind of rides the line of like trying to humanize them and then trying to make you sympathize with them. And it's like a person shouldn't want to sympathize with this person. And I think it's a really delicate line where it's like, this person, you can humanize an evil person, but you should never want the audience to sympathize with an evil person. And then they kind of like try to tip that a little bit. And I think sometimes like
are you talking specifically with the Deep?
With the Deep, they do so much to like punish him over and over again, but the way it's framed, it's like it's trying to make you feel bad for him.
Yes.
Well, I think they're gonna do like a Theon Greyjoy thing with him, where you don't like him and then you do.
Well,
but Theon Greyjoy is I don't want to defend Game of Thrones or anything, but it's better paced. Like his arc of you going like I hate.
Well, it's like 2 seasons.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that the Deep show like they're trying to make you sympathize with them. Clearly, when you watch a show, the way those scenes are shot, it's like you should feel bad for this person, but there's no remorse for his actions.
No.
So it's like I can't sympathize with this person unless he shows remorse. Like you keep punishing him, but he's not learning anything.
Yeah, no, he's not. He doesn't feel bad for what he did.
Which is fine for like the first couple times you're punishing him. Like he's clearly not realizing he's being punished for being a bad person. But literally throughout the entire season, he has no regret for anything he did. So all the punishment is in service of not really anything.
See, that is one of my favorite parts of the Deep, because while
the
show is trying to teach him a lesson, but he's too stupid to hear it. Like his entire like it literally goes in his face, and he's like, "Look, this is what you did to this woman. This woman's gonna rape you now, and this is what you did. You were a rapist. Look, you're feeling it now." And he still doesn't feel bad about it in the end. He's still a moron about it.
And I think that like I just don't think that really works. Like I understand that completely, but like just watching the show, I'm like, because that would be fine if Annie wasn't a main character. Like if Starlord was a throwaway character and like that was just like you're introducing the Deep. What kind of person is he? Oh, he uses his power to sexually assault women, and it's just a random woman. But the fact that Annie is a main character and they do everything in their power to make you like her, that's why I'm like, why are you having this kid? I don't give a fuck about him being punished. Like I said, if it was a throwaway character, then yeah, that would be his character and I would get it. But the fact that Starlight is a main character, it's like, fuck him. I don't care.
I fixed Huey's arc. This is how they should have done it.
Okay.
So the ending happens. Let's take all that convenience stuff out of it. I don't know how they do it. I just don't like all the stuff where they do all the convenience stuff. They just change it. But A-Train starts having a heart attack, and then Annie goes to save him, and then he's like, "What are you doing? Stop!" And he's like, "What? No, he has to die. Let him die." And it's like, he's all caught up in revenge and stuff, and then she's like, "What is wrong with you?" And like that's when he starts to kind of bring it back, where it's like now the next season he can start trying to work on himself, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I was begging my friend to not let this person die. I was telling her this superhero was trying to save another person, and I was telling her to stop because I wanted him dead.
So
and like he doesn't
that
like
would be better. They would not have done that because they wanted Annie and Huey to have like some sort of basis of a continuing relationship for the next season. Yeah, so
that's true. They did.
That was kind of ruined for me because like he's like, oh, like Starlight, I'm gonna try to talk to you, like we're gonna try to work this out.
And then
Butcher just comes in and shoots him with a massive sniper
I don't know
rifle.
how they're able to patch anything up.
That's what I thought they were gonna do.
His best friend shot her 3 times.
I thought they
in
were
the
gonna
chest.
do a thing where it's like he tries to get out one last time, like he's gonna try to make it work one last time, and Butcher ruins it, and then that's gonna be how it goes. Like they can't ever be friends again, or they can't.
Because she doesn't trust him, and Butcher shot her.
And Butcher shot her with the biggest sniper rifle on the planet, and no, she's fine. Like it doesn't matter. Like that whole scene could have not happened.
I think another flaw is there are some pacing issues. Like there's some parts,
Yes.
like we keep saying, the last episode seems super rushed. Like it feels like the season should have been 10 episodes.
Well, I think that's also why people have had a problem with the cliffhanger. Is it feels like that episode is leading up to the final. Like it feels like the second to last episode. It does not feel like the last episode. It's like, oh, we have to cram all this stuff in because we're gonna have an epic conclusion, and then
it's Amazon. They could release the second half of a season whenever.
They're already shooting.
Another thing I think is a problem is a lot of the dialogue is kind of student filmy.
It starts off with this, and we're like, we all like.
We'll talk about things we like in a second.
But I don't think enough people were talking about the flaws.
Yeah, no, not enough people. That's why we got to bring it up.
It's a perfect.
There's a lot of dialogue in there where I'm just like rolling my eyes, just like, wow. Nobody talks like that. What are you? Why are you doing this? Or like it's like student filmy.
I think
sounding,
that's
you know
a rollover. I've heard that it's pretty faithful to the comic.
I heard that they changed a ton of it.
Really?
They've toned down the violence and the sex like substantially.
Really?
The comic apparently is infinitely more violent.
Oh my gosh.
There's infinitely more sex and rape and violence.
There's so much violence in the show.
It's toned down in the show.
That's crazy. Remember when he grabs Haley Joel Osment and smashes his face into a sink till he dies?
Oh yeah.
That's super violent.
Apparently shit like that is constantly happening.
So Brian, my big like, oh, I don't know how I'm supposed to sympathize with this character anymore moment was Butcher, because I was like, I like Butcher because, you know, he's got an Australian accent. He's cool. He likes to kill people. He loves violence.
He has a very clear motivation.
He has a very clear motivation. But by the end of the season, I was like, he is just a disgusting, violent monster with almost no redeeming qualities.
I think that's
all.
intentional.
Yeah, no, I know, but I like. By the end of it, I was like, I think he should die.
Because I think you're on Huey's side where you're just like, oh no, he's so far gone. Like this person has become evil because of this. Like this is completely taken over his
life. A good
life.
example where you're like, oh, it's so violent and there's so much sex in it. Like how could it be? Perfect example was Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass movies are really toned down in terms of violence and sex.
Well,
those movies are extremely violent.
Yeah, that's weird.
But comics, you can do whatever. That is one thing I really liked about the ending, though. That whole scene with Homelander and Butcher, because Butcher is a motor mouth the entire season.
Yes.
You cannot get him to shut the fuck up
and then he's just silent.
And then in the room with Homelander, he has nothing to say. And Homelander says things that you should have already been saying the whole time, but you don't because Butcher has so much charisma. But once Butcher stops talking and they completely remove any of his charisma and he's putting it very plainly, he's like, what proof do you have that I raped her and what proof do you have that I kill her? Do you have any proof at all? Is this based on any evidence whatsoever? And Butcher says nothing. He's like, so you're doing all of this
on a hunch,
and you don't have, and on a hunch, you have no evidence. And I was
Which
like,
is a question I was always asking myself. I was like, how does he know?
And I was sitting there and I was like, that's true. They're all taking it on faith that he has some sort of information.
Especially when they show that video, I was like, a lot of things could have happened in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the second he contextualized that was my favorite part of the ending, because I was like, holy fuck, he's complete.
Well, that's the thing, dude.
Homelander is not a good person, but he's completely
That's
right.
the thing, dude, with the show. Everything with Homelander is pretty much perfect.
Oh yeah, no, that's the biggest thing is if you notice, every single one of our complaints had nothing to do with
here's the thing that the show does really well. Is for the most part, characters are great.
Yes.
Most part, characters are really well written. Another little flaw, I was getting really sick of the dynamics because most of it was we have problems in the past and we don't like each other, but we're gonna work together.
What I hated about it is it's like, I'm Frenchie, I'm Mother's Milk. We hate each other, but why?
We also hate Butcher, but why? You know,
and then but that question's never answered because they act like best friends.
They do that, but they also just do the freaking prequels thing. They just like, oh, you got us in a nest of Gundarks, and that's why we hate you. Like they that's all they do. Like they just talk about past that you've never seen, that you don't know, and then that's it. And I was getting sick of that. They have a lot of relationships like that. But anyways, things we liked though. The characters are
put up the Homelander.
Every goddamn scene with Homelander's fucking
dude.
amazing.
That airplane scene is amazing.
So my thing with Homelander.
Even
is,
when he's first introduced, that first scene when they're just like,
That's what I was getting.
I'm gonna talk about the who have we saved today?
Yeah, because at the beginning they set up right when Butcher's introduces, all the superheroes were awful. They're
Yes.
disgusting,
And he's like, "What about
terrible.
Homelander?" He's like, "Nah."
And Homelander shows up, and me watching, I was like, I want this guy to be good so bad.
Yes.
I want this person to be the only good person.
Oh no, I was like, this guy cannot trust him, and I wasn't thinking they were gonna show him being bad till way later.
I
And then
thought
he blows
he
up
was
that plane immediately.
So the way I thought it was gonna happen is it's like, oh, like Butcher's showing him like, oh, all the superheroes are disgusting monsters deep down, and it's like, all right, here's how it's gonna go. Like Homelander's gonna be perfect. They're like, it's gonna be impossible to get dirt on him, and then by like they're gonna find out way later that like he has the worst flaw.
Well, because that's how I felt. Because everybody just loves Homelander. It's like
Yes.
that guy's perfect. He's God. You know, like that guy would not do
and
anything
then
wrong.
the first episode, you're like, oh, I get it.
Not only does he melt that plane, but when they cut to his
Smiling
they
on
cut to his face and he's just like, yep, like he has no remorse at all.
Yes.
He killed that whole family.
my favorite thing about Homelander is because they introduce all these superheroes, and they introduce the fact that they're all flawed, but they all have except for Black Noir, he's doing great. But they're all flawed in a very human way. Like all their flaws are very human. Like A-Train is very prideful.
Yes.
The Deep is very insecure.
He does drugs. He's a criminal.
Yeah, and then, like the Deep is very insecure. Queen Maeve is just very cynical. But Homelander's flaw is the fact that he has no humanity.
Yes.
There is no he calls humans mud people.
He is a robot.
That was also great. Anytime Homelander referred to humans and changed, like he's like mud people, animals, like filth. Like he never saw them as humans.
Like his biggest flaw is the fact that he does not consider himself a human.
Yes.
And that is and it makes him so interesting.
He's just so above everybody.
And he's in control in every situation he's in. Like he's like, what the fuck is that blanket doing there? And they're like, we fired him immediately. I'm so sorry. Please don't melt me.
Yeah.
Please don't laser
Well,
me.
that's something that I love about Homelander too. Is everyone's afraid of him.
What-
That's
what-
something that I always thought with those Man of Steel movies was when Superman kills Zod, and like he's destroyed this entire city as far as people know. Anytime Superman's in a scene, everybody should be like, Superman, don't kill me, please. Like everybody should be afraid of Superman all the time
it's just
because
like,
he's a murderer.
So Homelander has the laser eyes ability, which is just that he has a gun taped to his eyes.
It's not
and he
even
can
just a gun,
activate it
dude. He
whenever-
can destroy anything
He
he
can
wants
melt your
with it.
brain
Yeah, he has the
immediately.
hammered on from Gears of War.
Like you can't just take a gun and then cut a plane in half. Like that laser eye thing is just it's not just a gun.
And he
dude.
can fly.
Yeah,
And he's super strong.
the guy who plays Homelander does a fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't believe he's in nothing.
The fact that he can just flip that switch, like he'll go from like a big bright smile and then just
Is whenever
own
like
section.
he'll be sitting there and he's like complaining with some other superhero and he's just like so stupid, like I hate this blah blah, and then like he sees a cop, he's like, you're doing great, you're the hero, you're great,
You guys are the heroes.
great
You guys are
job,
the
great like he does that every time. He says the same thing,
And then he
every
flies up
time.
and he just takes that guy's heart out with his bare hands.
And you can also feel like his intimidation even when they're not showing his face. Like the scene where he's confronting the Deep, like his head is cut off the whole scene, and he just puts his hand right on his collarbone.
And you're like,
Well, 'cause he can just
break-
crush his neck
And
immediately.
yeah, at any moment it's like he could just kill. Like just putting his hand right there, that's it.
That's
He's
it,
done.
yeah.
He's fucked. He's the fish guy. What is he gonna do?
He could just crunch him like that. He could just be like, and you're dead.
So the plane scene.
Yeah, the plane scene.
So the plane scene, it could be its own goddamn section because it could also just be its own short film. Like if you just cut the plane scene out, it has a perfect setup as like it's a perfect like 7-minute scene, and it could easily be just a complete standalone.
That's a
short
good
film.
point. Well, the
Yeah.
point doesn't come out till a couple scenes later, but still,
Yeah.
it's so great, dude. He just when he.
'Cause
It's not just he's not saving them; he's also yelling at them, saying, "I'll melt you if you try
It
to."
has,
I'll fuck you."
it has a classic superhero setup where it's like, Superman, that plane's falling out of the sky.
And it's awesome too, because you're just like, you know what, Homelander's great.
And
He's
then
just
they're like,
he
dun,
might
dun,
be a
dun,
bad
dun,
person,
dun, dun, and then
but
it's
he's
like-
gonna save these people.
And you're like,
Save
yes,
the plane.
Homelander's gonna save him. And then they're like, all right, what's going on here? There's a terrorist. He's in the cockpit, and he's like, don't worry, I'll melt him. And then he melts him. And then Wonder Woman's like, Homelander, you melted the plane too. Like now we
and
can't
they're both
fly it.
bulletproof. Like he didn't even have to melt.
Well,
him.
even that
grabbed him.
he saw that he melted. He's the one that called it out because she was just like, we gotta fly this plane. He's like, we can't. I melted it.
Even if I could, like, what am I gonna?
And he
do?
does not care. He's just like, whoops.
But
He's
also,
like,
like,
whoops.
Homelander like clearly shows like abusive traits. Like he's just rationalizing with her. He's like, no, you are being ridiculous and thinking that I can save them. Like,
Yes.
it's impossible. There's nothing for me to stand. I can't pick it up. I'll just tear right through it. It doesn't make sense. We can't save them, so we're leaving. And like he just says it so matter of fact, like she's being irrational.
And it's not even just we can't save him, like we're leaving. He could save some people.
Yes.
But he's like,
Well,
I don't want them.
that
like,
is the kicker of that scene. Is she's like, just save these 2 children.
Even
like,
even if he only saved, like, let's say he saved 10 people, those 10 people would not be like, kill that man, he's evil. Like they would
he
just
didn't
be
save
like,
us all.
yeah, like they would just be like, he couldn't save us all. You know, I would think that, but like to him, it's like it's bad PR. Like who knows what they'll say? Who knows what it looks like to me? There could be some jerk on the internet.
It sounds better that
no.
the plane just crashed than we only saved a few people.
Yeah.
If no one thinks that we were there at all,
Yeah.
that makes the most sense.
and then the best part of that scene, or one of the best,
when he gives a megalomaniacal rant
is
about terrorism.
afterwards he completely turns it around. He makes it all about him. He's like, if I had been there, everything would have been different. This is why the government needs to let us be in the military.
I loved all of his
goddamn
speeches, too.
shit doesn't happen anymore.
And then like he's having a speech at that like Christian faith gathering thing, and he's just like, yeah, we should go kill them terrorists. Like they're like, yeah,
oh my god,
kill the terrorists.
And then that scene where he flies to
it's like, this is
like,
goddamn America.
He flies to that war zone or whatever, and there's the SEAL team, and they're about they're like, all right, we're about to raid
You guys
this
take
facility.
5.
And he's like, you take 5, and then they just watch from the outside as he just butchers them with his heat vision. It's all something we haven't talked about at all is that it's hilarious. Like it's a really funny show.
Well, that's the thing. It's super humorous. There wasn't a ton of times where I was laughing out loud a lot, but like the whole show is very humorous.
Well,
Yeah.
a scene that had me rolling on the floor.
But there are scenes that you're just like, this is the funniest thing ever.
It's the opening of episode 2 or 3 or something like that, and it's the
think it's
scene.
2.
Is it 2?
I think. Yeah.
It's the scene where A Train goes to the hospital to talk to the kid that has
outrun cancer.
he goes to this hospital to visit this kid that wants, that he's on his last leg. He has
They
cancer.
could have just said, he's right there.
And that's true. They could have lied.
He's right there.
And the kid's like, oh no, A-Train, I didn't want you, I wanted translucent. And A-Train has absolutely no idea
Why does
how to
everybody loves
handle it.
translucent? He kept being brought up like, dude, he was my favorite. And it's like, why is he?
Because
everybody's favorite?
I thought about that and I remembered. I was like, literally, you ask most people what if they could have any
That's
superpower,
true.
what would
No,
be
that's
everyone says
true.
invisibility.
That's totally
And
true.
it's
You're
for
right.
the same reason that translucent loves being invisible.
to
It's
sit
so
in women's restrooms and listen
and
to women's
jerk off.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he loves it.
Why do you want super invisibility?
I don't want invisibility.
Well, what superpower would you have?
I've described this before. My superpower would be anything that has to be done in a bathroom would be done automatically, so I would never have to go to the bathroom again. So I'd never have to poop, pee, shower, shave,
When you
wash my hands.
So just imagine, like,
I would just imagine anything that has to be done in a bathroom would be automatically done for me.
it's a really selfish superpower.
It's a practical superpower. If I'm invisible, what the fuck am I gonna do with that? I'm gonna listen to women's shit in the bathroom. What would you do with invisibility? A selfless thing that you would do with invisibility.
A selfless thing.
That's the thing, dude. Any power that anyone
What
should
about
have,
flight?
you would use it for
It's
for
like,
selfish
okay,
reasons.
flight. That's also selfless. What's a selfish? What's a selfless ability?
You can
Well, no, you can do good
selfless
things.
things with those. Yes, you cannot do a
Like that's why
selfless thing.
superheroes are a thing, because it's
You-
like
you-
you can fly, so you
You
go save
cannot do
people.
a
I
selfless
don't want to
thing.
be a superhero. I just never
Yeah.
want to be in a bathroom ever again.
That's
for
all
the
his
rest of
point
my
was,
life.
dude. Is
Yeah,
that
I'm
you
just saying
cannot be a superhero.
That is
It's
a
your power.
selfish superpower. It's not even a superpower. It's more just like,
good
why do you
superpower.
have that power? Like, where
Because
did
I
that come
hate
from?
bathrooms.
The right answer is telekinesis, because then you can fly and you can lift things with your mind.
Yes. Final thoughts. Sam Slade. Final thoughts. The boys.
Oh, I was gonna say my favorite joke in it though is when they introduce Haley Joel Osment's character and they're showing all of the clips from his show, and he's
No,
just
exactly.
and he's just like, this man is the rapist. I was like, what?
My favorite.
Because every episode of that show would be that, like, it would happen.
I
and
don't
they,
like
bring
it
it
would
to
be
that
instant.
kid.
I was like, this is the worst show ever. Like, how is this a TV show?
My favorite joke wasn't really a joke. It's the show's called The Boys, but they don't call themselves The Boys until the very last episode.
Yes.
Carl Urban just says, "What about me and the boys?"
about
And then
me
he
and the
calls
boys?
them The Boys like 3 more times on that episode. Like
It's like they forgot.
Like immediately after that, he says The Boys again, and then he meets the girl, and he's like, "She started The Boys."
Oh, that's
it's like, why is he calling him that over and over again now?
That's another thing that we haven't really talked about. Carl Urban's fucking great.
Oh yeah, he's great,
he-
dude. Yeah, I think despite all the flaws that we spent most of the video talking about, the show's pretty sweet. Like, it's better than I don't know. I haven't seen any other Amazon Prime shows, but it's probably the best one.
Yeah, Marvelous Miss Maisel, that pile of shit.
Yeah,
that
who
I've never
cares? I've
seen.
never seen that.
It's
or
about a woman. Alec, what were your final thoughts about
So
The
final
Voice?
thoughts. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm super excited for a second season. I could easily see it losing its charm. I actually have very little faith.
oh yeah, that's another thing. Like, especially with that last episode, it starts to really feel its flaws a lot.
Well, that last scene with Homelander and Butcher is great.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But then the cliffhanger after that, I'm like, oh, I don't care about this.
It's also a matter of like, where do you go from here?
Yes.
Because it's like they've all been caught. They've all been caught. They know exactly who they are. So
Yeah.
Where do you go from here? How do
Yes.
you continue?
You're gonna meet Time Travel Man, played by. Shoot, what is his name? Frick! I was gonna make a great joke, dude. I was gonna make a great
Was it
joke.
gonna be
was gonna
great,
be
dude? I don't-
Macaulay Culkin. Get it?
Oh, dude.
My final thoughts. Yeah, it's got a lot of flaws, but
It's definitely worth a watch.
the best thing that it has going for it is it's entertaining.
Yes.
Yes, that's the best thing about it is it's entertaining.
Like, there's nothing about it that's really high art,
No.
or like it doesn't really have something like super.
except for
unique to
Homelander's
say.
character. Homelander's character is top notch, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that is really well done.
But yeah, the best thing at its heart is it's just really, really fun to watch.
Yes.
Well, and I think it kind of offers a smorgasbord. Like
It's
you,
got- it's got
you
enough
have
for
a
every- it's got
lot.
a little for everybody.
There's a lot of different things it does. It does stupid comedy. It does super serious, dramatic, well-written characters. It does really stupid comedy. It does comedy
does
that's
some
so
action.
stupid that's you don't. It does terrible color grading. It does that if you like
Yeah,
that.
if you like that. There's some people that like that.
They shot on an Arri Alexa. Can you tell? No, because they pooped on the
No,
footage.
shot on a red weapon, dude.
Oh, right.
We
We
looked it
went,
up.
we went over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It shot on a red weapon.
Yeah.
And then they pooped on the camera.
Oh yeah, no.
But
she's
final
great.
thoughts. Uncle Mickey has a shoe now. Look at that. You guys see that?
I do see that. Look at that. Uncle Mickey.
You can order your shoe by
By customizing.
customizing it yourself on
Take a
the Converse.
Take a screenshot. Go on the Converse website.
Make sure you spell Mickey right.
Just make sure you put 2 K's and an I, and then just see if you can get all the details right.
Yeah, that's pink, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. The stitching's pink.
And if you guys go to that website and buy it from there, we'll ship it to you through a third party called Converse. And we'll
Yeah,
get
no,
you guys-
they'll
And
handle
actually,
it.
if you use our
They actually do
affiliate-
the whole thing. It's a good service. They do the whole thing for us.
If you click
Yeah.
the link in our description, we get no money at all
Yeah,
from that.
we're partnered. Well, we do it for the fans.
We do it. Well, they do it for themselves. Yeah.